Hello, everyone. This is Kai Andrews from Point B coming at you today from my virtual office, my home office. It's a place that we find ourselves in these days. I'm here with my colleague, Amy Hoyt. She's also joining us virtually from her home office. And that's exactly what we want to talk to you about today. We're going to be addressing business continuity for your business, as well as remote working. We'll take some turns and discuss top issues that are top of mind these days. But let me quickly just give you some background on myself. I've been with Point B for 17 years, coming to you from Seattle today. I've led collaboration initiatives for our clients for a very long time, and now I'm focusing on the future of work. I lead our future of work practice, which embraces all of these new ways of working that we're having to deal with these days, right? Remote work, flex work, home work. And so that's enough about me. I'm going to hand it over to Amy Hoyt. She'll introduce herself and take us right into our first topic. Amy?
Thank you, Kai. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Hoyt, and I've been with Point B for 3.5 years. And I've been doing business continuity and disaster recovery planning for about 20 years now. I started out doing continuity of operations work for Booz Allen Hamilton, doing it for various clients in the alphabet soup of the government, USDA, Veterans Affairs, U.S. House of Representatives, and then some Department of Defense work in cleared access space. I then wanted to move back to the Northwest where I grew up. And so I moved to Seattle and worked for Starbucks International and created their very first strategy plan and implementation for pandemic. We actually ended up rolling it out in Asia Pacific and with the United Nations and benchmarked with McDonald's and Walmart to make that happen. So I then went on to work for a variety of other clients, and I really enjoy this space, but I also feel that it's very relevant and timely that we're talking about some of these things and pandemic planning because it's a people response, and helping people to do better and manage this is really a great thing to be able to provide. So I'm glad that we're able to talk today. I wanted to start out by showing you guys one of the questions that we're getting from customers and wanting to just kind of bring it to the forefront and talk about it. And that question is, this came on so fast. What do I need to do first? And I think the first thing when you're thinking about your plan is to actually make a plan and have really clear goals with what you're trying to accomplish. Most organizations do have a business continuity group that has thought about these things, so leverage it if they have, along with human resources are usually the forefront of dealing with this. But also just having that ad hoc steering committee or core crisis team or key decision makers on hand and helping them prepare to deal with the things that are coming at them is super important. I think defining those roles and responsibilities really helps them be effective in putting together good decision making as we move through this. I think the second piece would be, this is ever evolving, and that's not unknown. There's definitely levels to this and ways that the government has set into place different trigger points. And so they move to the next level every time we hit a trigger point of so many people affected or regions affected. And I think that organizations can be thinking about what their trigger points are as well. What is it that's going to take you to the next level of response and prompt additional actions or restrictions within your organization? Setting those in place will help you be effective in being able to manage the situation that you're facing. And it's definitely not a one size fits all. Here in Seattle, we are very much affected by this, probably more so than in some other locations in the country that are just watching this on the sidelines and not as necessarily impacted directly by it. And that's okay. Having different responses for different regions and areas is really important as you think about the impacts to your organization. I think another thing that we want to be on top of right now is understanding the cost that this might have to your organization. Trying to figure out how you're going to track that and measure that is going to be important as we look back and try to understand the implications that this has had to the overall business, whether that's in operations, sales and marketing, manufacturing, customer service, and your supply chain. All of those additional costs that you're spending on those protective items like hand sanitizer and sanitation supplies, all of those, keep track of those separate from your normal business operations. That may have tax implications and or write-offs in the future that you want to be able to take advantage of within your business and organization. The other thing that you might want to consider is benchmarking what your response is. How are you getting your information, and how much are you responding to it and updating it so that you can be on top of what's happening within your industry, within your area? Are you looking at your state, your local or your federal government responses, and are you being proactive in your response to that or reactive in the way that you're responding to that? And I think the more you can become proactive by understanding what potentially their plans are and how you can align into those will really help you stay on top of this and your industry as well. I'm noticing that a lot of industry organizations are trying to also provide really good guidance on how this might affect specific industry areas. And that might be a really great place to start with conversation as you try and understand what your colleagues and other organizations are doing and thinking about as well. This is a time to share. This is a time to be thoughtful about the way that we communicate so that we're helping each other. As I said, this is a very people-centered issue, and the more that we can stay on top of keeping our people healthy and safe, the better off we are. So get out there and talk to people, understand what's going on, and share your learnings and learn from them as well would be a really great place to get involved in your community. Another question that we get asked is, what about our people and our offices? And even what does travel look like in all of this situation? And these are the most important considerations as we look at pandemic response. Having worked in the government sector, the number one priority is mission critical. Not necessarily protecting your people. And I would say that outside of that arena, the number one area of concern should be around your people. It should be around your full, your part-time, your temps, your contractors, your customers, your stakeholders, anyone within your organization. You want to be the catalyst to make them feel like you understand this and that you care about their safety. Right now, people are very vulnerable. They're worried and they're concerned about their own safety. And the more that you show that you get that and that you understand their concern and take it seriously, the more you earn their trust and you have an opportunity to be a trusted source for them as well for whatever service or product that you provide. I think another thing to consider is your health screening. I'm seeing a lot of conversation around, hey, if you're sick, stay home. But by the time you've exhibited illness, you probably have already spread or potentially spread the sickness along. So think about what that means as you have people coming into your facility or in your manufacturing plant. Maybe think about how you are screening to make sure they are healthy. Are you temperature monitoring? Are you just practicing safe social distancing so that you don't have to worry about someone contracting it in the workplace? Think about people with disabilities and all those unique pay considerations. Have some policies in place as we move into this new world that could potentially get worse before it gets better. So what does that look like as you're thinking about your absenteeism and the way that you're going to think about people who may not be sick but need to be home caring for sick, or people like me who happen to have little children and they no longer can go to school. So there's ways that we're trying to work through some of these really unique challenges. And I try to tell people too, to see this as an opportunity. This is a change. This is a forced change that could really benefit your business in the future. And the way that you think about this now could really help you to be more effective as you move forward. If you do have office space, really think about your cleanliness and your sanitation for people that are coming in. They should walk in and feel the difference. They should know that you understand the situation, you've taken it seriously, and you've done things to keep them safe and healthy as they enter your space. That they know this is not business as usual, and you really get that. You understand that you have to do things differently and think about the distance that you have with them and common work areas and how that they're interacting in the workspace. And it's okay to put really strong measures in place that everyone has to follow. This is not the time to be light on your process and procedures. This is the time to be really strict about the way that you focus on them and implement them so that people around you and the people that are interacting with you really understand that you get it. And the final piece on this is just around travel. And I know we're seeing governments closing borders and we're seeing a lot of reaction to the spread of this virus. So really be thinking about your foreign nationals, checking in with them to make sure that they feel comfortable. They're not necessarily in their home country, and this is a really scary time. So maybe give them some consideration, even as they potentially face discrimination in this uncertain time frame and age that we're in. And also just thinking about what it means to keep people off of planes right now. Frankly, I know that we want to talk about, keeping people moving and effective, but right now the best thing might just be to figure out how to do things differently or remotely, and how we could potentially do things like this, where we're not in the same office, but we're still as effective, or try to be as effective as we can be. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kai to talk about what it means to really be effective and working remotely or not in the same space. Kai? Oh, Kai, I think you're on mute, just so you know.
I broke the first, so this is the beauty of this kind of a setting. I just demonstrated exactly one of the points I want to make. It helps if you actually unmute yourself before you start talking. So on that wonderful note and awesome transition, Amy, thanks first of all for outlining all of those points. Amazing content for all of our clients to consider. I'm going to change the lens a little bit right now and look at the individual. Right? Let's take a look at those workers that we're putting into those remote situations and what do we need to give them. And there's really 5 areas that we're going to cover. One of the first ones is to make sure that there are guidelines. Some people say there needs to be a policy. Well, it's not a written document with a signature at the bottom. It is as simple as setting norms for how the work needs to be done. Flex work or remote work doesn't necessarily mean remote time. So when are you going to be available, right? What is that contract that you still have with the organization to get the work done? And that flows down into the team norms as well. As a team, sit down and understand, how are you going to communicate with each other? Is it email? Is it text messages? Is it chat? What is it? And what is the availability of team members? Are you going to have your little green available icon in Skype or other tools to indicate when you're at your desk and available for talking? And what do those response times even look like? How often have we sent an email and immediately wait for that response? It's email, folks. It's not supposed to be immediate. So let's set those standards. They're more important now than ever before. Change management is a key element too for our workers. Leadership needs to engage on a very continuous basis, right? They need to be sending communications around where the company is at, what are the changing policies, give clear and concise guidance as to what is happening. And that change management also needs to be persistent in that people's emotions are going to be changing. We're already hearing from our clients being at home for a week or even a couple of days is resulting in back-to-back virtual meetings. There's no time to lift up out of this chair that I'm sitting in. And people are struggling with that mentally. So that change management doesn't just stop when people are given the tools and the environment to be at home. It continues in supporting their mental well-being as they adapt to new ways of working. And the change management applies to you as an individual, right? Set the norms around your house. Give yourself routine. If you used to bike to work, bike in the mornings. If you used to listen to NPR on the commute, Give yourselves those 20, 30, 60-minute commutes and actually listen to the radio and set norms with the people that you're sharing the household with. Amy mentioned the kids at home, spouses, significant others, partners, whatever the case may be. Make sure they understand I'm at work, I'm not at work, and where those boundaries exist. I did mention tools, and they are important, right? We need to give people the laptops, the software that they need, and it needs to be reliable. All of a sudden, we find ourselves trying to VPN in or use a cloud-based tool. So make sure that those are reliable and available to people. And most importantly, give people time to learn, time to adjust. And honestly, in every single meeting, add that little bit of buffer of time, because someone's not going to unmute themselves. Someone's not going to screen share. Someone's going to struggle a little bit with something that they haven't had to do on a regular basis. It's a moment of learning. It's a moment of patience. So let's make sure that those tools are supported with the right, shall we say, human behaviors. And then there's support, right? We need to be able to support people, because this is a new way of working. This isn't 1 day a week at home or 1 to 3 days a week at home. This is always at home. So questions will pop up, because there are going to be things that when you work at home for 1 day a week, all right, I'll fill that time with email or fill it with a document I need to create. I can compartmentalize the work I need to do. What happens if I need to do all my work at home? How do I support that? What if I run into a problem? I never thought of having to do a check run at home before. That's in the office, locked away in a cabinet with a stamp. All right, where's the support mechanism where I can raise those issues without fear of judgment or any kind of consequence? Let's work this out as a team. So make sure those support mechanisms are there for our employees. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about is a remote culture. This is where we have to acknowledge that the water cooler chat, the quick banter with a cube mate about a movie, about sports, about all kinds of personal life events is absent right now. Build time into meetings. Take 5 to 10 minutes. It's okay. Chat about a topic. We all dread the word icebreakers, but what if there is just a simple chat about what did you do with the family last night that relieved some energy, right? Those things can exist, and they're super important to continue connecting with one another and giving ourselves an outlet that goes beyond just getting the work done. So those are areas of remote work that we need to deal with as employees. Amy, you covered amazing topics about business continuity and how companies can recover. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? We're going to move forward. And if there's anything that is, dare I even say, a bit exciting about this, is that we are experiencing new ways to work that will carry forward into the future, right? The ability to flex your time, your space, the tools, the way we collaborate, that's all going to happen and carry on. And so take that with you, that we are looking at the future work right here and right now. So Amy and I would like to thank you for your time today. You can reach out to us at insights@pointb.com if you have additional questions, and just appreciate you taking a few minutes out, connecting and listening. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, everybody.